Hello and welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today we discuss a very important issue. This is organized attack on judges in social media. Ladies and gentlemen, you would have seen when you open your social media accounts, wild allegations are made against judges by anonymous accounts. Sometimes the same messages are written by thousands of people. How does that work? We are going to discuss today, and what is the implication of such an attack way of doing that. And why I say organized, because the same message is repeated by thousands of accounts. It's not as if one person who we can identify has said something with proof. It is an allegation that thousands of accounts make. But I'm not here to do the talking. We have a panel of experts. Let me welcome someone who has served as the Attorney General for India, Senior Advocate Mukul Rohatgi, one of India's leading lawyers at the Supreme Court. Good to see you, sir, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for calling us.
We have with us Senior Advocate Parag Tripathi, one of India's leading lawyers, who has also served as the Additional Solicitor General for India. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for your time. We have with us Advocate Mahesh Agarwal, one of India's leading law firm managing partners at the Supreme Court of India. He runs Agarwal Law Associates. Good to see you, Mr. Agarwal. Thank you for your time. At the outset, you know this issue much better than us. You've been seeing the court for 40 years. What is happening in today's India as far as judges' criticism is concerned using anonymous accounts on social media? What's the opening comment that you want to say?
See, Tarun, I have been seeing this malicious propaganda for the last 40 years or more. Whenever a lawyer is to become a judge and his name goes up for judgeship, rumor mongering, whispering, insidious attacks start. Mostly they are anonymous because people don't have the courage to say something which is genuine or correct. Whenever a high court judge has to become a judge in the Supreme Court, the same thing starts. Sometimes it is from within the institution also. Sometimes it is from lawyers, sometimes it is from outside. You don't know. There are many interplays which are going on. Same thing happens when a judge from the High Court goes to the Supreme Court. Same rumor mongering starts, either by lawyers or from within the institution where people are against that judge or whatever. And the same thing happens when a judge of the Supreme Court is to become the Chief Justice, because that is another higher post. Again, the same thing will start. In the old days, it used to be anonymous letters. Today, social media has given such a big handle that you type something on Instagram and then, it goes in a split second, it goes to millions of people. The damage is incalculable. Gullible people start thinking, oh, there must be some merit because there can't be any smoke without a fire and stuff like that. Now look, this Chief Justice is retiring. A new Chief Justice is going to come in the next 10 days. I am sure rumors will start against him.
Okay.
We have seen him in court. He is a person with a strong backbone. I welcome him to the new post. I hope he does something for the judiciary and the areas that we are facing. But I am sure he will also, face all these because of these innuendos, attacks, and social media is today so important and all pervasive that it's no longer a written letter. Insidious attacks are made. In fact, there should be a law to rein these people in. You can attack a judgment of a judge.
Yes.
No problem. You can be vociferous in your attack on a judgment. But you can't unnecessarily attack judges without any material whatsoever. And they are vulnerable because they can't speak. If the new Chief Justice is going to face all this, can he come to the media and start speaking? He can't. It's very unfortunate. The law must come and it should be dealt with by an iron hand. This is my opening remark.
Thank you for that law intervention, which you said that the law must be there. I'll go to Advocate Mahesh Agarwal for his opening comment on this issue.
So I think this has become a practice now, not just in Supreme Court but in various high courts also, that a person writes something about a particular judge. The difference between social media and print media was that print media did not have much of a recall value. You read a newspaper and discard it. Here in social media, the message virtually becomes permanent. It attracts traction and thousands of people are followers and everybody likes criticism. You enjoy criticism. If you praise somebody, nobody follows. But if there's a criticism, people follow. What is happening is it's attack on independence of judiciary. What we need is an independent judiciary who decides without any fear, without any risk, and in a fair manner. The objective of all this is not bona fide. It is not that people are doing out of pleasure. There is definitely a malice and a malicious intent behind this criticism, which has to be stopped with an iron hand, like Mr. Rohatgi says.
Thank you for that opening comment. Senior Advocate Parag Tripathi, when I invited you for this program, you shared with me how strongly you feel about this issue. And you said that this is not, you're not happy with the way things are going. Given that as a background of how you felt even before you researched this issue and are now speaking to us, what would be your opening comment on this issue of anonymous accounts attacking judges, thousands of accounts writing the same message?
As Mukulji said and as Mahesh said, this is like sniper fire. This is like a guerrilla warfare. Somebody shoots a bullet at you. Nobody knows from where it has come.
Yes.
And it does the damage. Now, if you look at it from jurisprudential value, which we share, which is why we have this rule of law in this country, you will find that there are three players here. One is the victim, which is often the judiciary, because a judge's role is often misunderstood. It's the least understood branch of the government. Because all other branches, there is interaction, public interaction. In the judiciary, the public interaction is very limited. Now, of course, you have opened it up with live streaming, you have your websites, but there is no one-to-one interaction outside the courtroom by and large. So there is a mystery or a mystique about how judges function. And there, it is very easy to attack someone, particularly if you have a benefit of a sniper platform. So this is one element here. So the three aspects which we have to look into is the platform itself, whether it is Meta or whether it is X, whatever it is, how do you ensure that the platform is not so misused? We have a Information Technology Act, but I entirely agree with Mr. Rohatgi that is not enough. We need to restructure. And I'll come back to it in a minute. Second is that there has to be a telling answer to people who try to, with their content and timings. That is what Mukul said, that there is a timing to it. Yeah. It is not innocuous. You time it at the right moment and then you disappear. And then you generate a swell of support and most of it is sustained. And then you create a wave as if you have hit the truth, whereas you can be the farthest from the truth. So that is the second element. And the third is what is the way forward. So when you come to the first point, you see all these platforms claim, rightly so in many ways, the safe harbor provision of the Information Technology Act. But if you look at it closely, can an American company, for instance, say that I am setting up a factory in India, but I will apply American laws to that factory? No. The answer which they always give is that in Europe or America where we are registered, we have to give much greater privacy to the privacy of our subscribers and users. Therefore, we as a general rule will not disclose the name. Now in India, if you are a media house or you are a newspaper, you have to get yourself registered with full disclosure. And I would say that the way forward would really be, and I'm now coming to the third point, I'll come to the second in a bit. Way forward really would be that there should actually be a dossier maintained with the platform, with a 24/7 officer. So supposing somebody goes aggrieved to a court, the registrar or courtmaster can ask the authority, that is the intermediary, and say that we want the information about this particular person, and then it should be disclosed. Because can I write a malicious newspaper article and say, I won't tell you my name? That is unthinkable, never done, or a book like that. So there has to be something which has to be dealt with in a manner, because I look at it actually as a part of a colonial intent. The whole idea is that we are from a superior system. We have superior rights and obligations to our users, which are not available in your country, and therefore we will not disclose. So I think that is something which we have to deal with in a very fundamental manner. And then, of course, there is this aspect also, that we are in the middle of flux. The whole role of judiciary is changing.
Yes.
The judges are at the cusp of a new technological revolution. So it's work in progress. Judges have become in many ways more approachable in the public eye, approachable in a good way. You know about them, you know about what they said in court, how they said it, etc. But it has a negative side also. So I think both the judiciary and the people have to go ahead with this learning process. Otherwise, it is going to create these frictions. But I'm sure that we will find a way forward, and this kind of malicious attacks will have to stop.
Thank you for putting this in perspective. So a judge's job is very, you cannot disturb his mind. Such complex cases they listen. I remember one conversation I had with Ryan Karanjawala, managing partner of Karanjawala and Company, when your house news was in circulation. I had compiled a list of houses that all lawyers had bought everywhere and where all they were going to be living, all eminent lawyers of Delhi. He said, this is not news. If you want to put it out, who am I to stop you? But why should people who don't want to associate with these lawyers should know all lumpen elements? Media is accessible to anybody. Who buys what? Who stays where is a private concern. In media, maybe some real estate listing reports it, it's different. But it shouldn't go into mass media where all these eminent lawyers are, they are doing criminal cases, other cases, their houses, everybody will know. I thought about it, we scrapped that story. That time I said, yeah, you're right. I mean, simply because your house is in discussion, why I'm asking you this? We see judges' property details. Of course, they have to make that submission. But plastered across social media by trolls. Now, why I say trolls, I cannot identify who's writing it because they have some cartoon character in the account and they are writing, this judge has one apartment there. He's got one house there. Children, So basically what we are seeing is we know everything about a judge. Of course, you submit it. Am I making sense to you, or do you think I'm wrong here that when I say that to put it out and submit it is okay, it appears in media, but somebody is sponsoring content, this is very nuanced, and sending it to thousands of people because surely this is promoted by paying money and putting out...
See, Tarun, let me answer it in 2-3 ways. One, which house I buy or he buys or somebody buys is not really a matter of public information.
Yes.
So newspapers saying that this house was bought by whom, this was bought, is absolutely a breach of privacy, right? There is no law which mandates that you should do it.
Yes.
Everybody is entitled to have his own privacy, his own systems. Insofar as the judge is concerned, you are right, a judge has to declare. So a judge declares. Why should it be anybody is concerned? If a judge has declared, obviously his declaration shows that this is what he has got and it has obviously been shown in the relevant returns. I mean, a judge can't show that he's got 5 houses. Suppose he says in his affidavit and they are not going to be part of the return. So if a judge owns 5 houses or he has inherited 5 houses or he has earned and bought it when he was a lawyer, etc., it's a matter of his own privacy. Whether his children are doing well, not doing well, or whatever they are doing, is all a matter of privacy. Therefore, nuanced or otherwise, sponsored or otherwise, even a bona fide use is a breach of that privacy.
Yes.
And as you rightly said, it disturbs the equilibrium of a judge. How do you expect him to be fearless? How do you expect him to decide those kind of cases, knowing that, he has in his mind that people are going to raise fingers, somebody said this, somebody said that. It's completely scurrilous. It's a breach of privacy. It should be completely, there should be a clampdown. Media should not, do it and claim that, look, we have done it just like in a bona fide manner, etc. We are not really to blame, etc. Media is responsible for, as you said, plastering it, social media or otherwise. Media should take a more responsible view and not do it. It is certainly affecting the morale of judges in this country.
One follow-up question to what you said. One thing is media reporting. Second thing is someone like me using that information. For example, I am that guy who's doing this. I pay someone that now 10,000 anonymous accounts should repeat that message every day, so as it gets to all kind of antisocial elements because everyone will access it. That act of
that is worse. It's a malicious act. According to me, it's a criminal act.
Yes. That's what I
should be taken to task.
Yeah, but
you can't play with people's lives, reputations in this fashion.
Thanks for. I wanted your mind on this.
Yes.
Mr. Mahesh Agarwal, would you concur with me when I say that you sort of disturb the judge's mind when you do these acts of plastering all of this information all through social media when he's deciding cases every day. And when he goes through this, see, we say that judges should live, in a way that, they're a hermit. But, in today's time, you can't expect judges not to read social media or read newspapers, watch TV. What do you think is happening?
As I told you, the intent is to defeat the judicial system.
Is it so?
Bring it to disrepute. Now we have to take hard action. So far, there has been a very casual attitude, and it chalta hai, ignore it, so what, it happens. But that attitude cannot go on anymore. It has become far more serious than a casual troll or a casual tweet which has been seen and laughed about. There are systems. Take an example that a person enters the court and makes such a statement before the court. What will it be called? Contempt in the face of the court. It's criminal contempt. There is a proper provision. Action can be taken. Now what is happening is something cannot be said in the open court. You are saying in the hidden room on the net, and it is far more serious than saying to the court itself. So there is a provision of contempt. The issue is nobody is bothered about it. Nobody is taking action on it. There can be a system of the Supreme Court or the court generally have a grievance cell where if I or you, anybody comes across this troll, a reference is made and a proper contempt action can be taken.
But
Supreme
against an
Court is taking
anonymous
contempt
account?
action.
Against an anonymous account?
If an investigation has to be done, there is nothing called as anonymous. And once investigation is done, our cyber cells are able to point out who's behind it.
And many times it traced to foreign countries. Then what is...
So even if it is traced to foreign company, then the solution will be that if a proper action is taken, then you give a direction to the agency like Meta or X to bring it out immediately.
Okay.
So today these things are going on, nobody's bothered. So if a defamation had happened, something like this had happened for a big industrialist, what would the person do?
Big industrialist can do what a judge can do.
No, exactly, that's what I'm coming to. So if something like this happens to an industrialist, what he will do? He'll go to defamation, get an order and get a takedown order, take down from all this. A judge is helpless.
Yes.
So there has to be institutional system because we have to protect the institution. So the institution itself has to, that there is the government of India, the state government or the Supreme Court itself can have some kind of a grievance cell where something like this is reported and action can be taken for takedown. So if Meta or X can take down on a court order, why can't it happen on a letter from the registry that's defamatory? It should bring down. You don't even have to file a case. So criminal action can be taken, defamation action can be taken, takedown action can be taken. Today, unfortunately, what is happening is no action is being taken and this is going on merrily.
The registry can initiate it?
Registry can initiate. There has to be some grievance cell where, for example, in this whole system, Bar Council is an important partner.
Yes.
Bar associations are important partners.
Yes.
They can be made to partner with the registry that if something like this has happened, Bar association can take action. Today, no action is taken. If any lawyer, if an action is taken by some media person or public on the road against a lawyer, the entire Bar association comes in on the road. In small states, as you know, there are strikes which happen.
Yes.
If something like this happens for a judge, no action is taken, people just laugh about it.
Yes.
And say, hota hi hai, chalta hai, leave it. But that is not, it has to be taken much more seriously. We have statutes, we have provisions, but there is no system, institutional system to check this.
Point very well taken. I'll go to Senior Advocate Parag Tripathi. One thing I want to know from you, when something is organized, there is a funder. Without funds, these things don't happen. 10,000 accounts wouldn't tweet something or put out something without money being paid, which means somebody has an intent to defame. Given that as a fact, do you think judiciary is up against something very big? Some force which is out to defame it with an intent to defame. And your comment on how it disturbs a judge's mental equilibrium. For example, you have an important case in Supreme Court and you go, and how are you to argue before a judge who's now sort of affected by the kind of criticism that is now happening against him day in and day out? If you can put all this in perspective.
Yeah, you see, Tarun, let me just bring for half a minute or a minute on what Mahesh has said. I think there should be a grievance mechanism within the registry. The activity or action or step should be taken by the registrar judiciary or registrar administrative, and you should have in it a committee comprising, let us say, of the attorney general or the nominee and maybe one or two judges of the court itself and maybe one or two retired judges. That can be worked out. And the takedown order should go from the registry itself. so that there is no need to make the judge as a plain timber. That's going to work, and it's not fair. So therefore, there has to be, because you are not protecting here the judge, you are protecting the whole institution.
Yes, yes.
It is very important, because today, if a judge has to not only see, we all know, anybody who loses a matter always goes away
Yes.
very unhappy. So he'll say, yeah, he didn't understand what I argued or whatever. But if he has to, that a judge internalizes, because he says, yeah, that's bound to happen. And the person who wins says, I had a very good case, I had to win anyway. That's all right. But the problem arises when you have this motivated, malicious sniper fire, for which there is no, as of now, you have to just take it. That's not correct. That has to change. Because it not only affects the equanimity of the whole system, it actually makes a person who cares for the system and is a part of the system, as we all are in our own ways, very unhappy. Because it affects the proper functioning of the system, and it brings in another inarticulate factor, which will always weigh in the mind of the judge. If I do this, will I be subjected to this type of fire? So that is not a fair, as it is, a judge has its own limitations. There are very narrow limits of his social interaction, of the way he is allowed to, or he, as a self-restraint, puts conditions around his social and public behavior. But you can't keep on making it, this is not a punishment post. And particularly when you are becoming a judge or you're getting elevated to the next level. These are the culmination of a life well spent in the judiciary and as a lawyer. And you want at that point quiet and enjoyable reflection rather than facing the start of fire. And as a person who's associated, I am reminded of a very nice couplet of the great Hamdan Musafi, who was one of the great Urdu poets and who gave the name Urdu to the language. And he said, Musafi, हमने तो सोचा था कि होगा कोई ज़ख्म, तेरे दिल में तो बहुत काम रफू का निकला. Because you lacerate the heart and minds of the judge. It's not just disturbing.
How is he supposed to then?
And of right-thinking people. And this is not to say that there are not bad elements anywhere. But this is not the way to deal with that. Because you don't deal with that. You're not concerned about the bad elements among the lawyers or judges. You're concerned with the particular person or persons whom you want to bring down. That is completely unacceptable. And I think we should give a new name to this talk. And I would happily call it, well, not happily, but seriously call it, the tort of malicious snipering. This is malicious snipering. You're maliciously snipering and disappearing so that you don't know who has done it.
That beautifully put. Thank you for sharing
But
this.
I want to add something.
Yes.
See, all right-thinking lawyers will say what we are saying. But unfortunately, there is also a body who are derisive
Is it?
about the judiciary or about individuals or judges. And a lot of them also feel what is happening is good. This lot is bad of judges, etc. So, there is distancing which is happening between the bench and the bar.
Yes.
It is because I personally think it may well be the reason why lawyers are not taking up cudgels where they should. If they take up cudgels against a lawyer who's, say, manhandled by the police, the entire bar goes on a strike. So I think there is some kind of a distancing which is happening because of the derision, unmanageable size of the bar, completely unmanageable. When I go to the bar room or the canteen in the Delhi High Court, I can recognize 50% lawyers because they've grown tenfold or hundredfold. Because of an unmanageable bar, lack of ethics, lack of court culture, lack of understanding starting from law schools that you are two pegs in the same thing, two sides of the same coin. Lawyers can't function without a
judges.
Bench, and bench can't function without a bar. So I think, that's kind of missing. It needs to be reignited. It needs to be relooked at.
You mean?
Yeah, it has to be refreshed, reframed, so that the body becomes homogeneous. And therefore, you must come to the aid of those who are in one sense defenseless. That's the feeling I get because of the disparate nature of the bars.
Yeah. So
which have
basically, when
happened.
both sides should.
No, because
It's
of
not-
the
it's
disparate
not the bar,
nature.
both-
The
both-
original, in the old days, the bar was 300 or 500 lawyers. you could, talk and say, come on, let's raise this issue. Today the bar is going to be 10,000 people.
Yes.
You can't walk in the High Court without kind of tripping over somebody.
Yes.
If that's the situation, unless you have a concerted effort, you bring in the ethics once again, the Bar Council can lead, associations can lead, law colleges can lead, bring up that, instill that, in the old days you instilled nationalism because, we were not an independent country. You have to instill that kind of feeling in young lawyers to say, come on, we should not have that derision, etc., as if a judge is an enemy, so to say. I think that is probably necessary to bring up a swell within.
Since you spoke about nationalism, I found out that you refused a very fat sum of fee when TikTok came to you as a client.
Yeah.
You're saying that I will not represent a platform which is not in India's interest. And that time you refused.
No, that's all right. So see, there are some limits for every lawyer, which is his own Lakshman Rekha. By and large, we appear for criminals and all that because we can't decide who's a criminal
Yes,
or not.
yes.
But if it comes to that kind of a situation where somebody is attacking the integrity of the nation and is sitting outside and not doing it, then you draw a line somewhere. I mean, that's what I did.
That's what.
Yeah.
We'll now go for the round of final comments. We'll start with Advocate Mahesh Agarwal. Tell me if you have to give 3 suggestions to the Supreme Court. Not that High Court judges aren't attacked. We've seen that in the recent times and very worrisome. What 3 suggestions would you like to give? In addition to, of course, what you said that the registry could do.
First thing is that there should be a general direction, even to the social media channels, to have some kind of an internal censorship. That there should not become a platform where you have unlicensed defamation and unlicensed bringing down of reputation. Today, you can write anything you want on X or Meta or any other channel like that, and there is no check at all.
Yes.
And that is being followed. So this thing of having a freedom, even if you have to write on a newspaper, at least the editor has a check. He looks into whether to publish or not. There is a filtration. After that also some defamation can happen. But there is some system of checking. Now this can, if they are not doing on their own, I am sure there can be. Supreme Court has taken suo motu action in so many matters. Just now this dog menace, there was a suo motu action. Suo motu action has been taken by Supreme Court in so many matters. This is a classic case where some guidelines have to be laid down by the Supreme Court for these channels. If there is no check, then there has to be some grievance cell. There should be a direction to Bar Association, Bar Council to take up, because it is not an attack on a judge who, like Mr. Rohatgi says, is defenseless. It's an attack on the institution.
Fair
So
point.
institution has to come down and protect its own image. What is happening is, we said the victim is the judge. According to me, victim is the client. They're all working for the client. He's the victim because he wants and he should get proper unbiased justice. If a judge is so much pressured,
Yes.
and there is so much in his mind that whether I should do this, whether I should do that, how will the court feel, how will the public feel, how do you expect justice?
Fair point. That's a fair point. I'll go to Senior Advocate Parag Tripathi for his closing comment.
You see, today, our judges are, in a way, so unwise. The judges also are all digital citizens. So that indicates its advantages and these very, very serious issues, which, as I said, this is a work in progress. We have to shore it up in such a manner that the pernicious elements who are trying to hijack the platforms, that hijacking, that sniper attack has to stop.
Yes.
And maybe one has to revisit the parameters of the safe haven protection.
Yes.
Take a very simple example. Can I bring in pornographic material saying that my people are in US and there it is permitted? Of course not. It's an argument giving way.
Fair point.
Same way clarity is signed off pernicious attacks. So to say that I will not disclose at the first instance the detail, I think we need to, this is a matter where the government should also discuss it with these various intermediaries and work out something which is fair to both.
Yes.
But certainly the present state of affairs is not fair to our institutions because it lowers the dignity of our very institution, which is something which we can't help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tarun,
Thank
I
you.
want to add something on this again. See, according to me, there is some malaise in the judiciary also. We are talking of social media. all of us lawyers come across cases where on affidavit, allegations are made against a judge.
On affidavit.
On affidavit. That he should not hear this case because of this reason, that reason, etc. The idea is to get out of the court. Most of these allegations are unsubstantiated. But no action is taken. The moment this kind of thing happens, the court should take action. Nothing happens. Something said about the High Court judges in the Supreme Court on affidavit I have seen. But it is kind of overlooked. Oh, ठीक है, छोड़ो इसको. No, you can't do that. It is that malaise which is giving rise to brazenness. All right, let's say it. हो सकता है काम निकल जाए, हो सकता है तारीख लग जाए, हो सकता है ये जज छोड़ दे, दूसरा जज आ जाए. If you tell lies in court, there is a provision that you will be tried for perjury.
Yes.
I can ask my friends here, please tell me one case to your knowledge in the last 30 years where somebody has been sentenced to 6 months imprisonment for telling falsehood in court. Nobody. So people are lying day in and day out. People are making allegations on affidavit day in and day out. And if they are getting away, they are more and more brazen. Why will they not say it on TV? Because if it goes to court, they say, I never said anything in court. It's my personal view, this, that and the other. So there is some malaise in the system also. The judges have also to, become firm and say this kind of thing can't go on. Not feel that we are trying to protect ourselves. No. In America, nobody will tell lies in court knowing that by and large, if he says that and he is prosecuted, he will go to jail. Nobody in America, by and large, will jump a red light. Why? Because of the fear of the law. Here, people jump, red lights or whatever. So there must be some fear that has to be instilled that you can't get away with this kind of thing against defenseless people. So even the judges must look up and look bright and say that this is what we should do and be firm. This is what I feel.
Thank you for sharing this, and I really like that senior members of the bar like yourself, Mr. Mahesh Agarwal and Senior Advocate Parag Tripathi gave time for this issue. Sort of, it's not something that you argue about, it's not your case, but you chose to give your time and put your voice. This is for the judiciary. I really thank you for your time, Advocate Mahesh Agarwal, Senior Advocate Parag Tripathi. Of course, I think if you together with the bench can come up with something in terms of ideating and how to tackle this, because you asked Parliament to make a law, maybe that will take time.
Yeah.
But what can the judiciary do to protect itself also is important. Maybe that's for our next discussion. But thank you for your time and thank you for joining us. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for today. Organized criticism of judges on social media is a real thing. Anonymous accounts are even more worrisome. Of course, if it can attribute it to some person, obviously you can ask him to substantiate why is he making those allegations. But unfounded, anonymous accounts in thousands, that's something one needs to worry about. Thank you so much. Thank you.